Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer, trained in interspecies communication, all the psychic skills. I lived in Tibet when I was around 10 years old. I say it was a year. Really don't have any way of knowing, but it was a long time and it was very cold. My big trauma with the cold in Tibet is still with me today. If I feel cold and I don't have an option, I don't have a sweater, or I get very depressed, feel sorry for myself. So I guess it just triggers the memories because it was not easy. But I learned the best stuff that I can share with you. So we're here today. Today's the 23rd of April, 2025. And I did sketch the United States. I'm so sorry. We still look great. We have the protection of the Merkaba, and we just look great. Now, I always get some notes on this. I don't know why, who decides what it is. My intention brings me the information, but I don't. It says Canada future is fuzzy due to movements in Antarctica. We don't even know that what's going on in Antarctica, much less that they're moving, even though they talk about it more. That's on today's sketch. Great stability. Here's the green and then the orange. And when I was using the orange, I got new pencils. And I was thinking, I'm just using this because I want to. I want to see that color there. But no, that's the color. Orange, the color of creativity, the color of the sacred. It's also the color of the chakra that channels our sexuality. Anyway, but then there's something super interesting. The bad guys, the United States bad guys, are regrouping in Guyana. Now, isn't Guyana where Tom Jones, Jimmy Jones, took that 1,000 people? He was mind control, he was CIA, from what I understand, and he got them to drink the Kool-Aid. And they knew that they were going to die. And I think a few of them tried to escape in the jungle. Guyana is a very interesting place, and there's big issues with Venezuela, with Guyana, because there is petroleum in Guyana. And then we have the United States bad guys that are regrouping in Guyana. Isn't that interesting? Now, why would that come up? Why would that be important? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if there's a group of people that would like the way politics has been run for many years, at least all the years that I've been involved, which was not my choice, you don't really do things directly. If Guyana has petroleum, you don't just go in and take over and say, we want this petroleum. You create an excuse. So it'd be interesting to see what comes out in the news. But regardless, the bad guys are regrouping in Guyana. Does that help anybody? I don't know. Anyway, I have some other news for you, which is not good news, which really basically knocked me out today. We are in the apocalypse. We're in end times. I feel so good, and a lot of us feel so good that the truth is finally coming out in the United States on it's not business as usual. This is good. Fairness is going to be the order of the day. But then we have to deal with the apocalypse and revelations, which means to reveal. But there were things that they said was going to happen during the apocalypse and revelations, which are horrifying. And the zombies would become an issue, and the Mayans also talked about that in the dolphins. So today I was in my usual Wednesday chat at 2 p.m. in Spanish, and I had somebody who asked me about her brother who committed suicide on Saturday. So she asked me how his spirit was and had he gone to the light. And I looked at him and I said, no, he hasn't gone to the light. I said, but he looks really weird. He's like wrapped up in something. And then I recommended what I always recommend, which is to find a Buddhist monk in the city that she lives in. She's in another country, take them a donation, a photograph of her brother plus his birthday, and ask them to do their ceremony for the dead. It's incredibly effective. The ceremonies that are done by the Catholic Church are not effective at all. The souls of those people that had that kind of a misa para los muertos, which means mass for the dead, doesn't work. Maybe the priests don't believe it. Maybe they're trying to do it for 10 people at a time, which you should be able to do. If I can heal 100 people at a time, the priest should be able to do a mass for the dead for 10 dead souls at a time, but apparently they're not very good at it. The monks are. So anyway, so she asked me that. I give her the information. I described how we looked like it was wrapped up in something spiraling. Okay. 3 questions later, a young lady asked me about something, and so I automatically, remote viewing, tuned into her. Now, this is for all of us. This is what's going on that we're going to be dealing with. It's going to be a lot worse than the immigration issues. And I saw exactly this. This girl is alive. She was asking me a question about something. And I went, why do you look exactly like the man who committed suicide on Saturday? Of course, she didn't answer. This was on a chat. And I went, wait, I got to figure this out because I've never seen the configuration before. And now I'm seeing it twice. And then I said to her, do you want to die? To the girl? It was on a chat. And she said, well, yeah, the truth of the matter is I don't really think there's any reason for me to live. And I went, okay, so this configuration, which looks like this, okay, twice in 5 minutes. Before in all the doing this, and I see it twice in 5 minutes. One person doesn't think she really has any reason to live. So I went ahead and I asked the dolphins because I was very shaken. Basically, what it is a physical body, and there's a spiraling of black energy around it, and it creates like a channel. Well, that's not the way people die. So I asked the dolphins, and let's see if I can find what I asked. Here it is. I said, what's that spiraling energy, that channel? And they answered, that channel is to take them away without bodily harm. Okay, dolphins, what does that mean? I'm reading it. I have it here. You can't see it, but I'm reading it. You know what? I'm going to put it up on screen. It's short enough. Okay, so this is me asking the dolphins questions, okay, about this. Dolphin, what is the spiraling energy? And the dolphins responded, that channel is to take them away without bodily harm. And then I said, well, what does that mean? And the dolphins responded, no throwing off of cliffs, no shooting in the head, etc., which means that they hurt the physical vehicle. That's your physical body. And I go, okay, so? And they answered, they need bodies desperately. I didn't spell that correctly, to win. What are we talking about? We're talking about what our religions have already told us. That spirits can take over a body. We already know that with the zombies. But the zombies that we are familiar with are in all the movies. Oh my God, look at the zombie movie. Those zombies, when they take over a body, they don't quite fit into the body. So they have the same suit, clothing, whatever, and their arms are hanging like this, and the stuff is too big in the arms. So obviously, the shape that the spirit that took over the body that turned it into a zombie is not really very close to the shape of a human. That makes sense. It took me a couple decades to figure that out. And then I diagnosed months ago that there is an incredible invasion of parasites called Xenos, Zenos. They look like snakes. They're parasites. They have horrible mouths and teeth. Horrible when you see them. if you could see them, and they come in and they suction out your intention, your vitality, your consciousness, your memory. And they create a different type of zombie than the zombie that doesn't quite fit into the wardrobe of a human being. And that's why they look so weird when they're walking. When a person has enough of these Xenos parasites, they're great. They're fine. Everything looks fine. Their body doesn't change shape, but they're nothing. They're an empty vessel. A zombie is not an empty vessel. A zombie took over a physical body, which is a vessel, a vehicle. They put themselves in it and it's not empty. In the case of these new zombies, it's totally empty. There's no intention, there's no thought, there's no memory, but everything looks the same. I don't know what they're going to do with them. But here it says they need bodies desperately to win the battle, to take over. Oh, it cut it off here. Why would it do that? It says to win the battle to take over planet Earth. Oh, it doesn't. If you look at it in the chat, it has the words to take over planet Earth. So when I do my classes, what I do is I pull out all of these parasites. I get a lot of help from the spirit guides. And I also cut the matrix implants, which are those hoses that are placed in them that the movie Matrix told us about. And there's many of them. It's not just one, and it's not just in the neck. But for those, I just have to cut and then pull whatever, and it gets taken away. For the Xenos parasites, cut. A whole legion of spirit guides come in. They have actually asked me to step aside and just watch what they do. And they pull them out, but there is a metal plate inside of us with 5 screws, one in each corner and one in the center. All those screws have to come undone. And when the screws come undone, then there's like this shell, like a grid, a shell that's like a grid, and that gets pulled out, and then you're finished with it. But it is complicated and difficult, but it makes a huge difference. I haven't seen until maybe it was Thursday of last week. I haven't seen parasites in the heart center. It was probably Tuesday last week. And on Tuesday, I started to see them, but very small. They look like worms, white worms. And that's when I brought out the music for parasites, which I will give you the link now again. I can't see with the light. That's why I'm doing this. There's no other suspicious thing happening. So when you have this music on, those parasites, which I'm not 100% sure that they're the Xenos parasites because there's such a difference in the quality. The ones that are in the heart just kind of look like worms, but when that music is on, they're very active, like worms, or they look like roots, white roots that are growing up from the ground, except they're worms and they're alive and they're very active. When that music comes on, they stop and then they start to become weak and they start to get translucent. So I strongly suggest this music, which is 10 hours long. I strongly suggest you get it. But here's the trick with this. In a chat, and we were maybe 250 people, once I said these people got hit by the I want to die virus, because there are viruses of emotions and of concepts, which we have not been allowed to know. And the suicide virus has been thrown on the planet several times. But when it lands on a person, if they do the mantra, even though I want to die, I love and accept myself 10 times, 20 times, it drops off. So if you have a kid or a person that you know that wants to die, just do the mantra. But tell God, this is for my child, this is for my friend, this is for my family, and do the mantra, and it's done. I suggest you do it more than 10 or 20 times. But I'm telling you that the person all of a sudden is like, you know what? I don't feel that way anymore. Both of these people, the one that did commit suicide on Saturday, and I asked, because I said, if what the dolphin said is accurate, and it should be because I've been checking them for 50 years to make sure they're accurate, it says no falling, no throwing off cliffs, shooting in the head, etc., which means that they hurt the physical vehicle. They want the spirits that are making this happen, the galactics, the aliens that are making this happen, they want this body, but they don't want it damaged. So I said to the girl whose brother did commit suicide on Saturday, I said, please, and I figured that how he died would help and that it wouldn't be a gunshot wound, a gunshot to the head or throwing himself off a 10-story building, because that's a lot of damage to the physical vehicle. She said, no, he hung himself, which is like minimal damage to the physical vehicle. So we don't have something going on. We have going on exactly what we were told 5,000 years ago by the Mayans, 2,000 years ago by the Bible. We were told what was going to happen. So if maybe we can kind of wrap our heads around the whole issue with the immigration and the anti-immigration and the trans and the whole 9 yards and kind of put that in its proper place, we need to get into the issue of not wanting to live, not having a reason to live, wanting to die, wanting to commit suicide, because this is going to take over. It's too many different galactic aliens that are trying to take us down. And the statement here, the last statement is they need bodies desperately to win the battle to take over planet Earth. They're looking to take over the planet, but they can't take over the physical dimension unless they have a physical body, and they don't. But they can get it by inserting themselves inside of a physical body of somebody who, whether they coax the spirit out or whether the person just wants to die and they just flake out mentally and their spirit leaves and they're kind of like a little zombie to start out with, we got problems. And it's bigger than immigration. Okay, so listen, pay attention. For now, I strongly suggest that many times when you're with your families, just sit there quietly, don't say a word. The mantras are done in silence, and just breathe and repeat the words, even though I want to die. I love and accept myself. Even though I want to die, I love and accept myself. A lot of people can spend their entire life not really wanting to live. But when you get a virus thrown at you and things look as iffy as they do for most people, and you have enemies that know more about your mind, your emotions, and your energy bodies than you do, you got a problem. And you know what? We got a problem. We got a big one. But you can do that. And when you do that, even though I want to die, I love and accept myself, you're a vacuum cleaner. You're taking it on. If you have a child that you see is very depressed, let him go ahead and lay in the room. You be in the next room doing the mantra and saying, God, this is for my kid. Even though I want to die, I love and accept myself silently. And I think I'm going to make a video a couple of hours long, this same video, which we're going to use now for the mantra. And I think I'm going to put my voice on it with that mantra, even though I want to die, I love and accept myself. And you can just leave it playing. And you can do what a lot of my followers do. Sound frequencies transfer an energy. And that transference changes you. That's music therapy, sound therapy, the therapy we do here. So what a lot of my followers do is they take pictures of their family members and they put them on the TV set. And then they put the Mantrista music videos on so that it transfers to their family. I also have a service, and I'm not suggesting it, but what I did was I took a collage of my family. I had it made up. I gave it to the guy that does the audios, and I said, put this on the video, behind the video, and then the video with all beautiful images and the sounds, and I put it on several hours a day. That way my entire family is getting continuous healing. If you're interested in that, it's $200, but you don't need to get it. Get an extra computer and have these therapy videos on 24/7, and then just with Scotch tape, put the pictures of your family there, and it will transfer to them. Okay? The same way if you're sitting outside a room where your kid is inside wanting to die, you can shift his consciousness. The same way if you have a massive depression, that's transferring to your kid. In the 90s, when I was allowed to wake up having to do with the mind control, my mind control life, the fact that I had a secret other life that I was really not very privy to. A lot of people knew more about what I was doing than I did. And I was like, nobody believed my story. It was like, and I would say, do you think I just turned into a liar overnight? Most people, when they have met me, have said I'm the most honest person they've ever met, that I'm too truthful. Then all of a sudden I said, do you think I just went from being a very truthful person to a total liar with this crazy story? Well, we don't really know, wow. Okay. So I'm totally unsupported, and I have these crazy stories that I'm struggling with. And so I'm thinking, maybe this is not going to work for me, my life. And I've always kind of known, or I did then, today it's different, that my right ovary, I knew that you can die really quick if you get cancer in your ovaries. It's like with pancreas, it's quick. My right ovary kick in and I'll be gone in 3 months and I don't have to go through this. Nobody's very happy with me anyway. But then I found out that every healing I got transferred to my kids. And I went, wait a minute. If I leave now, what kind of a legacy am I leaving my children? I didn't have grandkids at that point. They're going to think, oh my God, this was so unfair. And eventually they would have found out that I wasn't making up these stories. This was true. And I said, no, I can't leave that legacy. No, this is not going to work. And so I just went into full-time healing. So you can do the same thing. Everything you do for yourself having to do with healing is going to transfer to them. And everything you do to yourself that's like really bad transfers to them. Guess what? The good stuff transfers too. And the videos are free. No excuse. And people like them. Okay? And you don't have to have them loud. And you don't have to be in the same room. So we have a new problem. So this creates like a little container. Where's it going? I'm going to ask the dolphin for more information. I really don't want to even know this. I want to pretend that this didn't happen today. It completely took over the chat. But it did happen. This is what we were told was going to happen. We can take care of this. What we need to do is share the information. And here we go with the whole thing of, well, nobody's going to believe me. You know what? I'm so sorry. But you need to put yourself out there. If you believe it, maybe you should share it. Maybe you should figure out more diplomatic words than I use. Maybe you should go back and find out what the Bible said and what the Mayans said and blah, 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 blah. And maybe you should ask yourself, well, all those science fiction movies for 50 years, it turned out that all of that was true. And all of those zombie movies, how come everybody got so obsessed with zombies? Maybe because intuitively they understood that that was going to be a big issue. So let's go ahead. Let's celebrate the fact that the United States looks so good. And if this was a different group, I would say we need to go and see what's going on in Guyana. By the way, back to Guyana for just a second. Several years ago, my group, the Mantrista movement, we decided to go to every Latin American country plus the United States. We also did Spain. We tried to do Ukraine, but something weird going on there in the other dimensions, really weird. So we backed off of that. And we were giving healings to the countries. of whatever could be the root cause for violence in the future, which is like now, all the violence that's going on. But when we got to Guyana, we couldn't do anything. It was so, so, so dark, but like a weird dark. We couldn't do Bolivia, the country of Bolivia, because there was a portal there, and the master said there's no way you can work there. You can't make a difference. So just skip it. Don't go in. Don't try. Don't play around. Just skip it. So we skipped Bolivia. When we got to Guyana, it was very, very weird. Very weird. I think we're going to try. I'm going to get the group to try and go in again. And I have had picked up that there were issues there when I have sketched Venezuela. And the whole thing is Venezuela says Guyana belongs to them, but there, of course, there's petroleum there, because you see, if there wasn't petroleum, probably wouldn't be interested. So why are the bad guys from the United States regrouping in Guyana, a place of incredible darkness? I'm talking, it's beyond the devil. I'm not exactly sure what it is. All I can tell you is that it was like, what's going on here? This is not normal, even normal for darkness. So let's go ahead and do the mantra. Even though I want to die, love and accept myself, I am going to put the rooting. See, this lifts you up. So what you want is the opposite of this. You want to grow roots in the other dimensions. You want to mentally visualize that you're growing roots. So I'm going to put the music, the video that has to do with rooting and grounding, the one with the caves. Crystals are grounding, it's earth. So we're going to do, even though, let's do we want to die. I love and accept myself. Okay, this is the mantra. This is it. And I'm going to put the music on. And let's do 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, I've got time for 7 or 8 minutes. You know what? We're going to use the one for the parasites. Wait a second. If the bad aliens want our bodies, our physical vehicle, but they want them clean without bodily harm, and the Xenus parasites can take out everything that's you, your memory, your intentions, your vitality, and they just leave a clean body, maybe we're talking about the same thing. So I'm going to put the music on that has to do with parasites. And I'm actually going to watch you, and I will tell you, if I see something really interesting, I'll turn the music off for a minute and tell you while you're doing this, whatever changes it is that I see, okay? Okay, just sit there. Don't do the mantra. Don't look at the video. Don't listen to the video because there's too much going on in the heart chakra, and I want to see. I should have looked at your heart. I should have looked at you guys before because now I'm not sure that all this that I'm seeing is due to the mantra and to this. So just give me a second for things to kind of settle down inside of all of you. I'm looking. Okay, now I'm going to do it again. And if there's a difference. Okay. My obligation is to say what I see, or if I want, not say anything at all. And sometimes it's easier not to say anything at all because what I see, maybe I don't understand, or maybe you won't understand. So here goes. This is what I see. The parasites that I see, and they're in the heart chakra, they were not there 2 weeks ago. And I told you, I think yesterday or the day before, that one of my followers, whose friend is a nurse in a hospital in Latin America, says a lot of young people are dying from their heart, and the hospitals are not allowed to talk about it. But what I was seeing was these parasites, the white ones that look like worms, in the heart chakra. I had not seen them there before. And now I know they give parasite medication to dogs for their hearts. I hadn't seen it and I haven't looked to see it in a. Okay, so what is it that I saw now that changed with this music and the mantra? See, the problem here is you did a mantra plus the music. You didn't do anything wrong. What I did was I set kind of like an experiment and I didn't have controlled the elements. But when I said, wait, let's stop and let me see if I can see you guys before so I can do it before and after. And the parasites were like thick, big, not little things and wrapping themselves around, we're going to have big problems. And then once we put the music on, I was able to see a dolphin inside the heart. And I was like, what the heck is a dolphin doing there? I finally figured it out, or at least I think I did. We all have a type of consciousness. Now, mine's dolphin. Some people are whale. Some people are angelic. Some people are eagle. Some people are cyborg. There's a few people that have fairy consciousness. It doesn't mean that they're gay or anything like that. It's a type of consciousness. It's really hard to have fairy consciousness. Anyway, that's what's running through your mind strings, and it's a quality. Each of those consciousness has different. You can imagine what dolphin is and angelic, whatever. So I see the dolphin, and I'm still seeing the thick parasites. And then as the minutes went by, the thick, fat parasites got smaller and weaker, and the dolphin got stronger. Okay, certainly we're not going to do a dissertation based on what I just said and say this is the way it is. But I suspect that I was looking at what maybe most of you are, which is dolphin consciousness. 30% of human beings on planet Earth are dolphin or whale consciousness. I suspect I was seeing the consciousness in the heart of most of you, and then and the parasite was taking over. So then it's a type of consciousness. And that music, and then we did the mantra, so we don't know to what extent it was the music. We know it's the music frequencies, but we don't know to what extent the mantra also helped. But the dolphin got stronger and the parasite got weaker. So maybe what I told you about the Xenos, Zenos, which means tourist in Greek, maybe the Xenos parasites, which I told you, extract your intentions, your vitality, your memory. Maybe those are the ones that I am seeing in the heart chakra. And so they would be extracting intentions, memory, whatever. They would be extracting the part of you that's dolphin or whale, and then they would take over and they would look just fine. Not the same person. It's very distressing. But we were told about this time, and those of us that are alive today and have been alive recently and are going to be born, we knew before we incarnated that we were going to be born in a very difficult time. And I think the really difficult times are ahead of us. And I'm not too sure that Trump doesn't really know this. And that's why he's anchoring things and securing things as if we were going to war. But maybe he's preparing for a war that he's not letting us know about. So, anything that you can do to share this information, which is very difficult because most people today in Latin America, Russia, and other countries that are not so modern, they understand. I'm not sure if they understand the level of the issue, but they understand. One of the reasons I don't do that event, Ask Francis, in English, is because I'm going to answer at the level of my training, of my abilities, which is causal, other dimensions. And if you don't know about all of that and I give you an answer, what's going to happen is what's happened to me, used to happen to me when I took care of a lot of people that were not Hispanic, which is that you'd be unsatisfied and ask for a refund. It's just, Francis, I don't know what you're doing. I said, I'm answering your question. Yeah, and of course they didn't have the background to be able to, if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't really believe in spirits and you're asking questions about your health and about problems and about a house that's and bad luck, I'm going to come up with stuff that has to do with spirits, most assuredly. And then you're going to say that I'm the problem. So I don't do that. So it's hard for me to ask you, please, to share this information. So what you can do is just simply share the fact that it appears that somebody knows how to send a virus to the population of wanting to die. So just in case, why don't you go ahead and just do this very silly little mantra, even though I want to die, I love and accept myself. And then check yourself before and after, because you will find a huge difference in how you feel. Anyway, I'm going to finish this now. Keep an eye on Guyana. And as a matter of fact, what you can do is, if you want to help the planet, just think of Guyana and then think of a gazillion candles, fluorescent lights, spotlights on Guyana, because it's really dark there. Don't go there. I don't suggest you go there. It's really bad. From your armchair, from in front of your TV set, just think Guyana and then just send all this light there. Interesting. The bad guys regrouping in Guyana. Okay, we'll see you again. Thank you. Oh, great news for me, and maybe for you too. I had a testimonial come in today of a man who has a child who was diagnosed as schizophrenic, medically diagnosed as schizophrenic, lived like a schizophrenic. And he did 6 of my classes that are called Your Head. That's very simple. I'm very simple. This is about your head. I clear you from your jaw up, and it makes a huge difference. No more schizophrenic issues. And the classes are $30. So, like I said, 30 times 6 is $180. $180. And from the first day, she improved dramatically. The daughter, $180 to put a big dent. Or at this point, the schizophrenia is not playing out. That's really good. The main thing is, it means that there's a remedy for that. Okay? Thank you for being here. Bye.